But as far as Raw is concerned, we closed the show with new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, knocking off Bianca Belair and Naomi. And actually an excellent match. I mean, this is probably the best WWE Women's Tag Team title match. And not to say they haven't had good ones, but probably the best Women's Tag Team title match I've seen in this company in years. And they've had some good ones. This one was great. And it was a worthy close to the show. Title change. Liv Morgan adds more gold to her resume. She was already a tag team champion, but in the last year alone, beating Rhea a whole bunch of times, joining Judgment Day, becoming Women's World Champion, winning that Crown Jewel title, whatever that was really worth. But Liv Morgan's done some great stuff, capping off her last year by becoming tag team champion. I thought was the right call. So I want to get your thoughts, Mr. Marceau, on the match itself, the title change, and what this means for everyone involved going forward.
Yeah, I thought, like you said, it was a worthy main event. I thought the match itself was really good. Champions, I don't think the championships were ever in doubt. I think we both thought Liv and Raquel would retain them here because I feel like Bianca's got other things to work on. So I think it was the right decision. Like you said, Liv's had a great year, kind of another title reign here. Naomi, I mean, we assume that she's going with Jade. When Jade eventually comes back, Bianca will probably go for Rhea's belt, and then it just leaves Liv and Raquel defending those tag titles. So I think everyone's got some sort of direction going on. Not that I agree with all of it, but I think we saw this coming, and it was a really good match, and good for Liv and Raquel.
Yeah, it was an expected outcome. I thought the match itself was great. I think this had to happen. We'll get to Elimination Chamber predictions momentarily, but this does have to increase the odds of Bianca Belair winning that Chamber match this weekend, going on to face Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship at WrestleMania, with Io Sky probably not involved. But we'll get to that a little bit later on as far as what that Chamber win looks like and what it means for WrestleMania. But I thought it was a great match. I think it was Nathaniel who said in the chat, I thought Jade was appearing on Raw. I think, and Alexis had said that as well before the match was even over. She had thought maybe they lose, because she had mentioned to me, which I completely agree with, but I also can see why they didn't do it. She had said to me, okay, do we see the turn tonight? Do Naomi and Bianca lose, and then Naomi turns on Bianca? And I said, yeah, it's possible, but they might want to save that for a different time. I feel like they could stretch this out. I mean, they've already stretched it out long enough. But they could stretch it out between the title change, which we got on Monday. That was step one. Step two is Naomi turning on Bianca. And then step three is Jade coming back. Or you kind of switch 2 and 3. Were you surprised to not see Jade on Raw? And when do you think we will see Jade Cargill back? Is it this weekend at Elimination Chamber? Because Bianca and Naomi are both inside the chamber. Or is it next week on SmackDown? And that's when we kind of get the official kickoff to the Jade Cargill attacker storyline.
Yeah, I think it'll be next SmackDown. Or so next week's SmackDown. I think that makes sense because you'll have Bianca seemingly win the chamber. She can do whatever she can on SmackDown, celebrate. Going after Rhea, you can kind of have Naomi there. Like I said, maybe she even attacks Bianca, and then you have Jade come back to kind of take that off. So I think next Friday on SmackDown seems like the best idea for that.
Yeah, I feel like save it till then. I could see Naomi eliminating Bianca potentially from the chamber to kind of further that feud, and maybe she doesn't turn on her this weekend, but you can kind of plant the seeds for it, and then Jade comes back, and whatever that looks like, Jade versus Naomi, a match that Mr. Marceau, I know he said last week, does not appeal to him at all, but it's very likely a logical match that we're going to be getting at WrestleMania. So I agree with that. Deep Professor had also said a little bit earlier on, I do want to get this out of the way real quick, he had said, what about WrestleMania 35, Triple H and Batista, career versus career? When we were talking about disappointing WrestleMania matches, he said that didn't make any sense because both of them retired from the ring anyway. I mean, Triple H did not. Triple H had a match a couple of months later with Randy Orton at that Saudi show, and the only reason why he retired when he did, and that it ended up being one of his final matches, was because of the heart surgery. Had that not happened, he probably would have had a proper final match and closed out his career on an actual, final note. But yeah, I mean, the match itself, I actually liked more than most. I'm not going to sit here and say it was great, but I know you were in the building for it as well, Mr. Marceau, probably partaking in the wave in the crowd that night. Was that one of the more you can't say it was disappointing. I mean, it was Batista and Triple H.
It was what I expected at the be.
It was 2019. I mean, they weren't it's not 2005 anymore,
Yeah, no, it was exactly what I thought it'd be with them both being older. It was just there.
Yeah, it was just there. And that show was fucking long. Mr. Marceau sleeping in his bed comfortably by 12:30. I was still stuck out in the ring with Alexis by 4 a.m. because I'm a dumbass. So that's the lesson there, folks. Never leave MetLife as soon as the show is over because you will get stuck out there if you plan on taking the transit out. So just a heads up on that front. I'm just going through these real quickly. I also thought, so Wrestling Fan had mentioned that the main event at 29 should have been a triple threat with Punk, Rock, and Cena. Yes, it should have been. And I was also reminded of that. I was watching back Cena and Punk, their Raw match that they had February 25th. I watched it with Alexis the other day on the 12-year anniversary of it. Amazing match, one of the best Raw matches in history. And I thought to myself watching the match, one, this is better than Rock and Cena at 29, obviously. And then two, Punk should have been involved in that match. It absolutely should have been a triple threat, and they fucking messed it up. Nathaniel asked, how about Bianca turning heel? It's possible. I don't think that... Are you talking about Bianca turning heel to attack Jade? I don't see that happening. What about you?
I don't see her going heel at all.
Ever.
I mean, she said that she wants to be like a role model for young kids. I mean, yeah. I think she's going to be like Cody and just not go heel.
Well, I think they'll both go heel, just not now.
I don't see it happen. Yeah, I mean, Cody. I mean, how many? I don't know. We'll see. I think
when we get to a point where people,
I would say no for Bianca, especially right now. Like maybe, like I said, she was a great heel in NXT, and like I kind of want her to be a heel. But I mean, I like her babyface work a lot too. So I would keep her babyface for now.
Yeah, no, I would keep her babyface for now. But heel Bianca would be amazing. Alexis even said it in the chat. Bianca turning heel would be amazing, but the problem is she doesn't want to turn. It's ridiculous. Okay, it is ridiculous. And I agree that I would like to see her as a heel. But the opportunity is there to turn Naomi instead, for one. And for two, we're just not at that point yet where it makes sense to turn her heel. I would wait until more people are like booing her. Like when it's like getting Charlotte-esque reactions, which at some point it's bound to happen. Wrestling fans... You mentioned in the chat the other day, Mr. Marceau, are so fickle, they turn on like everyone at some point. I think they will turn on Bianca down the road.
I don't know. I feel like with her, I feel like with Bianca, it's kind of like Cody. Like I said, I mentioned Cody because I feel like they're kind of in the same boat. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like people get sick of Bianca. I feel like she's such a good babyface. It's not like she's like vulnerable or, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like her as a babyface, I don't think she'll get to the point people are booing her. To then turn her heel, unless she's like holding the championship for a long time, which she really never has done. I mean, I don't know. I just don't see her as like a baby face that they'll turn, like the fans will turn on. I don't know. I feel like she's so likable that regardless of what she's doing, I don't see people booing her.
Yeah, that's true. I could see that. I think at some point down the road it's bound to happen. But I don't think it's imminent. To your point, I think people like Bianca enough. I mean, if it hasn't happened by now, she's been in the main roster now for 5 years, and she really hasn't been like overly booed. There were points where people were kind of turning on her towards the end of her title reign a couple of years ago when she was champion for a year, but beyond that, most fans have not really booed her. Ahmed had asked, Ahmed, thank you for joining us. First of all, he said, what's up, guys? Thoughts on corporate CM Punk taking up The Rock's offer? Remember, he did say to Cody a couple of weeks ago, I won't stab you in the back, I will stab you in the front. Great point, Ahmed, but like I said, we're going to get to that in just a moment. I'm going to ask Mr. Marceau about that. The Rock's offer, will Cena take him up on it? Will Cody take him up on it? Will Punk take him up on it? Will Mr. Marceau take him up on it? I don't know. I'm going to ask him about it. It's about to make a run-in. I'll ask him about that in just a couple of minutes. One more thing here before we move on, and I'll get back to the chat after we get to our next point. Nick had mentioned on the point of Bianca and Jade and Naomi, he had said, my theory is Jade returns this weekend. Jade will say Bianca did it. Naomi turns on Bianca and teams up with Jade. I don't see that happening. But what is your thoughts on that?
I don't either. I don't see that happening either.
That would be quite the swerve. Heel Bianca, I mean, we just got done talking about how we don't really think heel Bianca is probably happening right now. But interesting idea. I mean, I think a lot of people want to see Bianca turn. And I was thinking we would get Jade and Bianca in Mania, but that was before the whole Naomi thing happened and the injury angle. At this point, it's not happening. We need Bianca and Jade at some point. I just don't think it's at WrestleMania this year.